This lecture is part of a course entitled Complete Guide for Water Treatment Plant Design. You can find the link in the description box.
In the next few slides, we will see how to design a chlorine contact tank. We have already seen and we went through the importance of chlorine as a very powerful chemical to disinfect the water from the pathogens, and also we have seen that it comes in three main forms: the liquid form, the gas, and the powder form. And we also said that the gas is the most commonly and easiest form to use. So we added this chlorine, whether it is liquid, gas, or powder, into the water stream. So usually it is injected through the water stream into the pipe, and then this water will go into a tank. And this is what is called as a chlorine contact tank, and this tank comes with baffles. So actually we do have baffles within this tank, and the water, actually this is the water. So we said we injected the chlorine and the water will go through the baffles in this way, and then it will leave for storage and or distribution. So why we use baffles, why we have baffles within the tank? It is mainly to avoid short circuiting and to make sure that each water droplet was in contact with chlorine. We have said that chlorine needs time for full effectiveness. It needs usually around 30 minutes of detention time. So the water, so each droplets needs to stay around 30 minutes within this contact tank to make sure that it was effectively disinfected by chlorine. So in the next few slides, we will learn how to design this tank, actually this chlorine contact tank. We will see that it will be based on what is called as the CT value. So C, it means the residual chlorine concentration. So C is actually the concentration of chlorine, and T, it is the detention time, or the time that the water needs to stay within this reactor or tank. And also concerning the right chlorine dose, we have already said that it comes through trial and error. So we add a certain chlorine concentration at the beginning, a certain chlorine dose, and of course we monitor this dose. We test after the chlorine exits the tank. So after at least 30 minutes, we test the residual chlorination, or what stayed, the concentration that stayed within this water, and we make sure that it is within the limits and standards. And this is how we adjust the initial value, the initial chlorine dose. So for the chlorine design, so we said that we have to design the chlorine tank. This is based on calculation, and for the right chlorine dose, we need to do trial and error. Now these 2 points will be clarified in the next slides. Usually the adopted disinfection technique is designed based on rules and regulations that follow the log reduction concept. For example, the EPA or the Environmental Protection Agency recommends the removal of 99% of cryptosporidium or 2-log removal. We will see What does this mean mathematically in a few seconds? Also, it recommends the removal of 99.9% of Giardia lamblia. So these two are actually protozoa, or 3-log removal of Giardia, and 99.99% of viruses, or 4-log removal of viruses. Now, between parentheses, I will zoom in a bit on the Cryptosporidium. If we have high concentrations of Cryptosporidiums in our water, better to consider the UV disinfection, since chlorination is not that effective on this kind of protozoa. We need very high concentrations of chlorine to remove Cryptosporidium. This is why it is not really feasible to use chlorine. If we have high levels of Cryptosporidium, better to use UV disinfection. This is why we will see later on that we base our chlorine design on the removal of Giardia lamblia, on this 3-log removal of Giardia. Now let's understand a bit what does log reduction mean. So this is a pure mathematical concept. Let's say that we have a certain protozoa that we are removing. So if in my pre-treatment I had 1 million of this protozoa, and in my post-treatment I was able to lower it into 1,000, so we will have a 3-log reduction of this kind of protozoa, or 99.9% removal. How did I get this 3 value? It is actually a logarithmic 10 of 1 million over 1,000. I will get the value of 3, which corresponds to 99.9% of removal. So this is only for you to understand what does it mean when I say 4-log reduction of a certain pathogen. It means that I was able to remove 99.99% of this pathogen. So just for you to understand the concept. Now we will talk about the CT concept, or the CT value. As I have already said, that we base our calculations for the design of the chlorine contact tank on this CT value. So CT means concentration times, or multiplying by the time, and the result will be in minutes, milligram per liter. How did I get this unit? C is actually the residual chlorine concentration. It is in milligrams per liter. It is a concentration. And T is the contact time. It is in minutes, and we have already said that it has to be at least 30 minutes. If you are new to this concept, it might look a little bit complicated to understand it, but things will get clearer as we move forward, don't worry. Now the CT value, it depends on 3 main factors. First of all, the chlorine concentration. We will see later on that the higher this concentration, the better it is. But always pay attention not to exceed the standards or the limits. Otherwise, the consumer will not accept this water. We will face other and taste problems. It also depends, and highly depends, on the water's temperature. The warmer, the better. And also on the water's pH. The closer to 7, the better. Now this CT value, it comes in the form of this table. And this table is actually provided by the EPA. So it was developed by the EPA based on experimental data, taking into consideration 3 main variables that are the water's temperature, the water's pH, and the residual chlorine's concentration. And here we are talking about the CT value. Notice CT values for 3-log reduction, or 99.9% removal or inactivation of Giardia lamblia. Now you might ask yourself why we are designing for the removal of Giardia lamblia. Why not for viruses or bacteria? We have already seen that bacteria are easily removed by chlorine, even in small concentrations. And that for protozoa, like Giardia lamblia, we need higher concentrations of chlorine. So we are designing on the hardest type of pathogens to be removed by chlorine. In other words, if chlorine is able to remove Giardia lamblia, it will be also able to remove viruses and bacteria. This is why I am designing for the worst type, let's say, or the hardest pathogen to be removed by chlorine, which is the Giardia lamblia. And a kind reminder that for Cryptosporidium, if I am facing high levels of the Cryptosporidium, better to use UV. Otherwise, we need huge levels of chlorine, and this will not be feasible. Back to this table, what we are seeing here, these values here are all CT values, are all this concentration times time values. Based on what parameters? So first, we have the free residual chlorine column in milligrams per liter. We have less than or equal to 0.4. We have 1, we have 2, and 3. Also, you might ask yourself that we have already seen that the recommended concentration for residual chlorine is actually 0.2 to 0.5 milligrams per liter. Why we are seeing here higher concentrations? We usually design for high concentrations of residual chlorine. We usually take it as 1 or 2 in our design. We design taking safety factors, because also if I am able to reach a residual chlorine of 2, it will be also easy for me to reach lower levels. So this is my safety factor, designing for high residual chlorine. The second column is the pH. So as we have already said, that also the chlorine or the CT value depends on the pH. And notice that we have 4 values for the pH: slightly acidic 6.5, 7, 7.5, and 8. And also we have several columns for the water's temperature: 0.5 degrees Celsius, 5, 10, and 20. Now let's take a practical example on how to use this table, and also note that the EPA document for chlorination that includes such tables, the CT values for Giardia lamblia, can be downloaded from this lecture's resources. Let's say I am designing for a free chlorine of 2 milligrams per liter. So I have set my residual chlorine, and thus my CT values will be the following from this row till this row. So these will be my CT values options. Next, I need to know the water's pH. Let's say that my water has a pH of 7. So now I am more and more limiting the CT values. So these will be restricted now to this row. And finally, I need to know my water's temperature. Let's say that the water's temperature is 10 degrees, then my CT value will be 124. So this is how I use this table to find the CT value. First, I set my design free residual chlorine. Then I need to know my water's pH, so we need to test the water. And then I need to know my water's temperature, and usually we design for the worst. So we need to assume the water's temperature in the winter, in the cold season, and we take the worst case scenario. And this is how we can get the CT value. Now, I want you to notice how this value or how these values are affected by the pH and the temperature. Notice that the lower the pH for the same free residual chlorine concentration, the lower are the CT values. So notice how the pH is affecting this value. And when we say the low is the CT value, so the smaller will be my chlorine contact tank. So the costs will be reduced. So the pH is a big factor for the CT value and also the water's temperature. Notice that the warmer the temperature, the less is my CT value, the better is my condition. While for cold temperatures, I have high CT values. This table summarizes the effectiveness of chlorine over the removal of some pathogens. For example, if I have bacteria, I need a low CT value. So a small concentration of chlorine and a low contact time is enough for the removal of bacteria. I need higher CT values, so between 2 to 30 milligrams minute per liter to remove viruses. And notice that we need very high CT values to remove protozoa, so 25 to 245. And this is why I design for the removal of protozoa, because whenever I am able to remove protozoa, I will be also easily removing viruses and bacteria. Now next, we will see what are the factors influencing the CT value. First, the residual chlorine. The higher is this residual chlorine, the less contact time will be needed. But also, as we have already said, we have to pay attention to the rules and regulations and the water's palatability. Next, the water's temperature. The warmer, the better. The warmer is my water, I will need less contact time or lower chlorine concentration. So a lower CT value and therefore a smaller contact tank, thus less civil works and less costs. The cooler the water, the more contact time or higher chlorine concentration will be needed. So CT will be high, whereas CT will be low for warm temperatures. For the pH, if my water is basic or if I have high pH, I will need more contact time or higher chlorine concentration. CT will be high. While if my water is slightly acidic to neutral, so this is the optimum pH, as I have already seen, 6.5 to 7, the last contact time or lower chlorine concentration will be needed. So smaller CT value, thus smaller contact tank and less chlorine concentration. Next, the water's turbidity. In other words, the effectiveness of my pre-treatment. Was my sedimentation effective? Was my filtration effective? Thus, I will have low turbidity water, less than 1 NTU. Consequently, less contact time or lower chlorine concentration will be needed. If my water is still turbid, I will need high contact time and chlorine concentration. Finally, the type of pathogens that I am removing. If my water has high levels of bacteria, then a small concentration of chlorine will be needed to remove the pathogens. For viruses, I need higher concentrations, and for protozoa, I need more contact time and the higher chlorine concentration.